Louise is a transformation management consultant. She works with an organisation called the Vanto Group. She has over 20 years of experience in this field. She works directly with CEOs and their teams to reinvent themselves and deliver a future that was never going to happen. So after her own personal transformation in her career, she decided that it was time for her to create a world that works for everyone. So she spent 25 years living in Asia. She speaks Indonesian, Japanese, and Thai, and works in a highly translated environment. And she specializes now in aligning and mobilizing teams with diverse backgrounds, cultures, and languages. Firstly, Louise, I just really, and so I think the universe always provides is one of the things I've also discovered about transformation. And, you know, as we came into this journey, you know, many of us all still, if we think about what even Shona says about what shows up in our speaking, here we are, extraordinary human beings making a massive difference in the world. And one of the things that naturally shows up for each of us is, am I in the right place? Should I really be here? I'm not sure I'm the best person to tell my story. So thank you for being up. It's such a bright early of the morning. It is such an honor to have you here. And thank you again for sharing your story. I'm going to leave it with you.
Oh, thank you, Kylie. Oh. Kylie, Angela, and Shona, thank you. I'm so moved. So hi from Singapore. I thought I might start my story of transformation at 22. That's where I'm going to pick up my story. So armed with 2 university degrees and language capability in Japanese and Indonesian, I was excited about my future and I was going to change the world. Shona, quite a distinct background from yours where I started. I was going to go out and change the world, right? So at 22, I'm on the phone to the graduate admissions department of the Australian government, and I called to find out when my interview might be. Right? The woman on the other end asked me my exam score, and I said, oh, I got an 8 out of 10. Remember, I'm going to go change the world, right? There's a big picture here. And she said to me, she laughed, oh, honey, without a 9 out of 10, you're not going to get any interview at all. So crushed and extremely embarrassed, I then went on to what would become a decade of proving myself as strong and capable of having an successful career that I'd so wanted. But the more that I tried to prove my competence, the more evidence I seemed to gather that ultimately, sorry, I've got a message. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Hi, Louise. Sorry to pop back on. Do you have a window open that's playing back the session? Because it sounds like you have an echo.
Oh, sorry.
That sounds better. Whatever you just did sounds better.
I brought my microphone closer. Is that better?
Yes, and I hate to ask you this. Do you mind starting again? Because your story's so powerful. We want to make sure everybody hears every word.
You want me to start again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Step by step, hey, Shona. So I start again. Where did I start? 22. So I'm 22 and I'm out to change the world. I knew I was going to change the world. Very confident, very ready, armed with university degrees and 2 Asian languages. I'd studied Japanese and Indonesian. I was ready to change the world. So I call the woman who's going to tell me when I'm getting my interview that starts my international career. And when she asks me my score and I tell her I got 8 out of 10, she laughs and tells me, without a 9, I'm not going to get any kind of interview at all. So at that moment, I was really crushed, very, very embarrassed, and set out and said, right, I'm going to have to prove myself. And I spent a decade out to prove myself. I really did. But the more I tried to prove my competence, just like Angela was sharing about the resilience, the more you prove resilience, the more stuck she found herself. Well, the more I tried to prove my competence, the more evidence I seemed to gather that ultimately, here's what I saw. Ultimately, I'm just a stupid girl. Not stupid. Many of us have that stupid thing. I was a stupid girl, a very specific kind of stupid. I'll give you what I mean. Too emotional, way too irrational, head in the cloud, and never quite seemed to know like the right thing to say. So that stupid girl then collected evidence for a long time. Like I said, I went around collecting evidence. In fact, it seems like I'd been collecting evidence long before the day I was told I wouldn't get an interview. So I was looking in prep to share with you today what kind of evidence I collected. Here was some. My grandfather, his favorite line when watching the football and all Australians here, football Saturday, that was what happened, okay? My grandfather would yell at the TV. You're playing like a pack of girl guides is what he'd yell. Well, I was a girl guide. I wore a blue uniform with those little badges that you used to get for completing skills and doing community services. But clearly being a girl guide wasn't something to be proud of. And then when I set out to prove my international career, I worked in a global law firm in Bangkok. And one of the partners I worked with in the banking and finance division, he used to introduce me to other people by saying I was hired and kept around because I looked great in a short skirt. That's why I was hired. That's why I was kept around. I worked for a media advertising company where one day when I expressed an uncertainty about a job I was doing, he told me under no uncertain terms never to bring my insecurities to work again. So I got that as I built my career, I desperately needed to hide being a stupid girl. And how I hid was to be strong. Angela, right in that world. Be resilient, be strong, tough it out. In fact, when I got threatened, then I'd get forceful. And then the feedback I got was I was intimidating. So I worked on one project on an all-male capacity building project in the construction industry in China. I don't know if you just take a moment to get that. The construction industry in China. We were doing eradicating corruption. And my all-male team named me Madam Lash because I was too bossy. They all called me Madam Lash, not by my name. So by 30, I had it all on the face of it. I had an international job. I had an apartment in Sydney. I had a wonderful, sensitive man to share my life with. That's what I wanted. Supportive friends, family who love me. And yet I was deeply unfulfilled. And the difference that I thought I was going to make in the world seemed further out of reach than ever before. And I found myself sad and angry for no reason. And I couldn't work it out. And I was embarrassed to be sad and angry when I had it all. And then I started dealing with ongoing health issues. So I started experimenting. At 30, I started experimenting with transformative modalities. And just like Shona, that search culminated in me participating in the Landmark Forum, which was the most transformative experience of my life. And in 3 days, what I got in a conversation for transformation was an opportunity to rewrite my future. For the first time, I saw for myself that actually maybe, just maybe, I was more than a stupid girl. Or maybe I could just be a stupid girl and I could contribute to the world working at the same time, right? And I got connected to what was possible for human being. And despite all the suffering and all the injustice and all of my personal inadequacies, maybe I could participate in the world working. And I discovered for myself the power of conversation, exactly like Shona said. Conversation, communication, conversations to share like we're having today, conversations to connect, conversations to heal. I was moved to tears by hearing, Kylie, Shona, and Angela, and conversations to move us into productive action, which are what I'm interested in, conversations that move us into productive action. So that was 20 years ago. And with the privilege of now having been coached by the best people in the industry, I discovered really 3 key things I wanted to share about personal transformation. These are my key 3 things. Transformation is a mountain with no top. There's always this gap. And just when I think I got something sorted out, there's something else to deal with. Something else arises and threatens and pokes the stupid girl. And then I look at that again. There's another layer. Secondly, when I make it about me personally, I lose power. But when I make it about others, I'm empowered. I get power. And thirdly, and most importantly, and I think this is Shona what you were pointing to, life's a conversation. It's all a conversation. So it's up to me, you, us, moment by moment, to choose every day which conversation we're going to honor and participate in. So they're my 3 things of my journey of transformation. Thank you.